Well, hey there, good morning to you. Welcome to Still Up with 6 on all your social media platforms where we continue the conversation. We brought Zach in this morning. Chris sat this one out because, Zach, you have some insight on our first topic, which was our question of the day all morning long. We've been talking about marriage, and of course, you're the married one in our pack, so we needed you for your perspective and to just get the conversation started with people at home. I think a lot of people will appreciate what you and Anne-Marie did. Anne-Marie is his wife, the decisions that you guys made and why you guys made them. We've been asking about marriages and living together before you get married. A new study that was published in the Journal of Sex Research shows that couples who live together before marriage are actually killing their sex life the first year of marriage. So of course, we don't want you to give us too much insight
about your sex life, which yes. I love that because I did like that disclaimer that we threw out on air today.
Yes, the conversation is more about living together before marriage than it is about anything sex related. So tell us, what you did and why you guys did it the way you did.
It was big to us. I've shared I've talked about, we're I don't want to say we're religious, but we're strong in our faith, and that's where this came from, was in our background through our faith. But it was really big to both of us, something that we wanted to do. I actually moved down here and took this position here. Been here, a little over 3 years now. I moved down here a little bit before she did, and she didn't move down until we moved her stuff in right before the wedding. Yep. And then we did the wedding. We left there. We flew to St. Lucia, spent a week there, and then when we came back, that was the first time we had ever lived together, and that's what we wanted to do. But I will say, we are not two people that throw our faith in people's faces. We're not two people that think you should do something or try to tell people what to do or insinuate what to do. It's totally up to you, and that was just our decision, and we've never tried to put that on other people or guide them towards that, or that's again, and that's what we've all said this morning is that you shouldn't tell people what to do, and all the feedback we've said is you shouldn't tell people what to do, but you can do whatever you want to do. Yeah,
here's the thing. I think every couple, that's their decision, and that's just the way it goes. I think that's how life goes. Some couples decide to wait until after marriage to live together. Some want to explore what life would be like under one roof before they get married, and some simply never get married at all, and that's totally okay. And you know what? I think that we saw in our comments, people will have their values, their traditions. Like you said, as long as you're not implementing them or putting them in people's faces or judging people for the way they're living their life, I think it's totally fine to believe what you believe.
Yes. Now, getting to what the Journal of Sex Research was talking about, what sparked all of this, we just want to get that disclaimer out there. Whether you live together or you don't live together, that's up to you. Nobody cares. Being married, me and my wife chose to not live together and to make it something brand new, and we love that. Matter of fact, she even made me throw out all of the stuff that I had. I didn't have a whole lot because I was coming from college anyways and just starting out young, so I had some hand-me-down couch and things like this from family or whatever anyway, so it was better to go ahead and start fresh, once we got married. And joint incomes are great. You can do a lot more things with a joint income than you can by yourself. True. But we even started fresh. We started a new place. We moved into a new place together. She didn't even move into the apartment I was already living in. We wanted a new place.
New everything together.
New everything, and start a new life together.
And that's awesome.
But the Journal of Sex is talking about basically that if you've already lived together, then once you do decide to get married, then once you've gotten married, moving forward from that time on, that the sex apparently isn't as great and things like this, or it's not, it just slowly falls off. And I understand. I think where that's coming from is everything will wear off. Even once you've been married for a long time, there's going to be changes, right? Things are going to change somewhat. You still love each other, but nothing is going to be the same as when you first got married. It's not going to be, the middle of your marriage isn't going to be the same as the end of your marriage.
And I think that's
later on in life or whatever.
And I think every couple goes through all different phases, whether they're married or not. I want to address Susan, who's tuning in this morning, saying this is none of anyone's business. We're actually just opening the topic of discussion. If you don't want to chime in, that's totally okay, Susan. But I see that you did give us some insight on what you did, that you lived together for 20 years before getting married, and you've been together for 30 years. I think that's awesome. And I think that we're not discussing this to know more about you guys and your personal lives. We're just opening the topic of discussion to see how you guys feel about it. And we're just talking in a broad perspective. You don't even have to tell us why you believe what you believe or anything about your personal life. But still, thank you for sharing, Susan, and for tuning in. Abigail saying, I did not, as a follower of God, I didn't believe that was right. And I think that that's one of the main reasons why people do not live together before they're married.
It usually has a
religious
background or there's, correlations to it. But again, the whole reason was the Journal of Sex Research shows couples who live together before marriage can kill their sex lives. And I think to me, when I see some of these studies, I'm like, well, duh. I mean, if you've spent 10 years together, once you get married, if that's a new chapter, it's not going to be anything new. To a couple that never had slept together, never lived together. Obviously, wouldn't that be brand new anyway?
That's a new journey. I can see that.
Wouldn't it be a hot and heavy kind of thing? But even
maybe.
still, their sex life, I can't believe we're talking about this, their sex life is going to change and evolve as the longer that they live together. So whether you started before marriage 20 years or somebody who's been married for 20 years, it's going to change and vary back and forth there. I'm sure it's going to have its ups and downs. And
for sure.
No matter if you end up getting married or you don't get married, you're going to always have to,
phases in your relationship.
Yeah, you're going to have to be intentional about keeping things fresh and keeping things
alive,
hot and heavy, alive or so.
Let's see. Rihanna saying, "Believe what you believe, but the real question is, what does the Bible say about it?" And I think that goes back to what we just said. I think that if you are strong in faith and you do follow a religion, and it does say it in not just the Bible, but other religions as well, the Torah, as well as the as well as the Quran. I think that's a common thing that we see in religion and in religious books.
But I do want to say again, as somebody of faith, if somebody doesn't, and you don't have to. I don't push that on anybody, but you can't. If somebody's not religious, then they're not going to have you can't expect them to. So you sit here and you make all these comments about, well, as God says it's wrong, but if somebody doesn't believe in God, well then.
To them it's not wrong.
Yeah, it doesn't matter then. So that conversation, it's like only if you are religious, then you can talk to somebody else about it that is religious, then you can kind of have that, well, I don't think we should be doing this. But to people that aren't religious, like they're not going to, you're not going to be on the same side, so I don't even think it's. It kind of stops right there.
Well, I also think there are different stages of religiousness. I think that, there are people who are really extreme and follow the book and the practicings
active. There are people who are active, and then there are people who are practicing
believe but are a little lenient.
Yeah. I think people who just identify that way.
And I agree, and I think that, just because, you feel that way about your personal beliefs doesn't mean you got to judge. I like Rose saying to each their own, and I think that was, look at that, 46% saying to each his own was been the majority of the vote all morning long.
I'll tell you this, I'm not afraid to tell people in this country or in this world that I am a person or a man of faith. I'm not afraid to admit that. I don't think you should be. I don't think you should be afraid to admit if you're not a person of faith, especially in the southern U.S., in the Bible Belt. Sometimes you feel like you can't admit that you're not a person of faith. You can, to each their own, as everybody's saying here. I lost my train of thought there. I was going to go somewhere and I can't remember.
It's okay. I think we're looking at the comments. Donald saying, "Who says you and your significant other need to get married?" Last I checked, there was nothing making people get married. And of course, this, like we just said, to each of his own. And you don't have to get married to live together or to even be committed. And I think that that's one thing that people kind of forget sometimes.
The study published by the Journal of Sex says
we're just talking about this all brings us back to that.
If you do live together before marriage and you are sexually active with each other, you could be killing it. We wanted to bring that to you and let you know. That's it. That's really what the study is about. So I think that makes sense to me. Researchers followed 100 couples.
I think the research would make sense. Why is it anyone's business? You're right. It's not anyone's business, and I think we're just talking about how you guys feel about just living together before marriage in general, not just about your personal situations, and I want to reiterate that. Let's move on to our Christmas tree discussion. If you haven't brought down your Christmas tree yet, there's something you can do with it. Apparently, people on social media are using their tree to decorate it for Valentine's Day. I think it's a little absurd. There's bunnies and hearts and all sorts of stuff on it.
Okay, I do want to say, the debate often is, okay, don't put the Christmas tree up too early. The country becomes divided on those who at least participate in Christmas. When's too soon? When's okay? Blah, blah, blah. We get into that, right? We get that. Now it is, I think the next big divide with the country is people, we've been trending towards Valentine's Day is kind of overrated with our generation, right? I see it on, especially with social media here over this past decade. You see more people saying, I'm not celebrating Valentine's, don't go buy anything. They call it Singles Day or all those things, you know what I mean? So I feel like our generation is pushing away from Valentine's Day, doesn't really care about Valentine's Day, just sees that it's an opportunity to put money back into the economy. That's really what it is, right?
Yeah, it is,
It's an opportunity to spend money with candy and flowers and gifts and things like that, go out and eat. It's just an opportunity to put money back in the economy. So I already feel like there's a lot of people out there like, well, hey, I don't even care about Valentine's Day. This is stupid. And this is the extreme side of that, right? This is the extreme side where you really love Valentine's, which I don't even know that many people that really love Valentine's enough to decorate their tree. But if you love it that much, you already got the tree out.
Well, that's what
But it's a lot of work. This is more decorated than most Christmas trees, right?
I know, and probably more expensive to decorate it. Kelly weighing in, saying, not yet, trees still up. These trees are crazy. Maybe I should try one this year. Shh, don't tell my husband. Kelly, if you do, please send us a picture of it.
And
we would love
Bridget
to see
said,
it.
good morning, and I'm having a Valentine's Day party. I do like that.
Awesome.
I've never been a part of a Valentine's Day party since I left the 4th grade. I miss it. I miss
it. You used to drop the
you
little...
You walked around, you did the little cards, everybody had candy, you had the party and all that stuff, and then we got past it and we don't celebrate enough. And again, I feel like our generation is pushing back against Valentine's Day, that you shouldn't be forced to be in love, or I don't even know. It's so crazy. Watch as we get closer. Social media is going to be blowing up. You're going to see all the anti-Valentine's people out there throwing out some big-time shade and hate towards Valentine's Day.
I think the argument is there shouldn't be a designated date to show the person you love them, and I think that's always the argument that millennials tend to get into these days. But still, it's still a big opportunity for Instagram to show off what you got, of course, from your significant other or what you got them. For me personally, I just enjoy like something nice, like a nice dinner or something. Not necessarily a gift, but an experience maybe.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with Valentine's Day. Of course, being married now, I have to try to keep things going throughout the year.
You should.
Little surprise here, come home for dinner, or you come home and there's a new dress laid out. I haven't done that one yet. I'm going to surprise her on that. But you're doing those things, cleaning the house. You're always doing a lot of stuff, and that stuff you have to do as you go through the whole year. But I like the one extra special night where everybody's out, and I know the menu's marked up.
And you feel the love,
Yeah, but it's kind of fun. It's just fun to go out and celebrate if you have somebody. And I can see where if you don't have anybody, then you're like,
it's tough, you
just stay in and you eat ice cream and
you watch movies, and that's okay. Hey, we talked about so many great topics. We want to thank everyone for joining us on Still Up with 6. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 4:30 to 7 a.m. for Texas Today, then Still Up on social media at 7:05.